It's completely missing. They teach you what to learn, they don't teach you how to learn. One very, very simple thing, I would say, in my opinion, is just to allow students 1 hour per day, man, 1 hour per day to study what they want. And I always tell even my kids or my students, I tell them, school is great, but school's not going to teach you everything you need to know, let alone what you want to know. So get good at learning. Get good at learning on your own.
Do you think we have to differentiate between the kids via exams?
Math is not everything, but math is everywhere. I did it as volunteer work. While other people were going to clean up the beach and they were wanting to go to the retirement home, and I wanted to teach. I don't like this feeling for anybody. I don't like people having this feeling of being stressed or not understanding or feeling lost. So I like to share, I like to explain it in my own way.
Khaled, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for accepting the invite. I really do appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Let's start off the conversation by you introducing yourself to the audience. Who is Khaled? What's your expertise? And let's go ahead.
Sure. Okay. I'm Khaled Saadi. I'm Palestinian, proud, especially these days, we have to represent. I'm currently teaching math and physics. I do private lessons, and I also teach at an institute in the day, math and physics as well, to older, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds. Before that, I was working in construction for about 12 years. We had a family company in Abu Dhabi. After 10 years of pretty good work, it's a very typical story in construction. We basically ran out of work and ran out of money, and we had to close down.
The company?
Yeah, the company, yeah. That's it. So this is how I got back into tutoring and teaching. I used to do it on the side. I did it all through high school. I did it in college. I did it as volunteer work. People who can't afford it, but they need it. While other people were going to clean up the beach and they were wanting to go to the retirement home, and I wanted to teach. It's always been there. I went back to it to sustain myself. One thing led to another. I got really organized very quickly. Clients were impressed. It grew. My love for it was rekindled. I'm back in it full time.
So what started off, did it start off like as a hobby for you, or what did you study basically? Engineering or education?
Correct. I studied mechanical engineering by education. Well, I worked in mechanical engineering I worked 2 years in Montreal. I lived in Montreal for Volvo construction equipment. I was 22. They gave me a Volvo S60. It was pretty cool.
All of that is the life.
That's it.
I'm retiring at 20.
Exactly. Chilling. Yeah, I was ahead of my friends, at that age. But after that, I wanted to do a company with my brother. We wanted to open a company. So he's also an electrical engineer. So we said, UAE is booming. It's 2008. Let's go to the UAE. Construction is booming. We'll work a couple of years, 4 or 5 years. We'll open a company together. We always said we're going to do it, we were going to do it. Back then, there was this thing called smart homes. It's kind of where you walk into a room and the lights turn on, the temperature is automatically controlled, sustainability. So they were like doing a lot of that. So we said, perfect, you're an electrical engineer, you work with sensors on a mechanical, we can get into it. Abu, my dad, he said he was retired at that time, 10 years retired or so, but he had a successful construction company in the UAE. So he said, if you guys are serious, I'll come. Instead of you working for somebody, work for me. Work for me for 5 years and then take over. And we said, okay. And what if the company loses? He says, it's my loss. No risk for you. But if we make money, I get paid first. Very good deal, right? 25 years old. I haven't stepped a foot in Abu Dhabi in 12 years. My brother said, Yalla, let's go. We went. We came here. We did this company, opened the company, worked. Very low bilawal. My dad is he's a straightforward, strict guy, no handouts as much as there are handouts, alhamdulillah. I'm very, very thankful. But he said you start at the bottom, you start at the site, and then you work your way up. But we did. 10 years later, typical story, like I said. Clients not paying you, you can't pay the subcontractors, you can't get the work done, you can't move forward. Eventually, you're living one project per year that. It's just not enough, man. There was not enough work. We used to go to site visits, which is where you go check out the site, or you check out the competition. It used to be like 6 or 7 companies. Now it became like 20 companies.
Oh.
They come from Dubai, from Sharjah, they come from everywhere. Big companies coming to take little jobs because nobody had work anymore.
Yeah.
So you don't make a lot of money. You don't have a lot of retained earnings. Any loss, you can't sustain a loss. You can't keep going properly. Like I said, nobody's paying. Client's not paying you. You have to,
Man, did you notice like bit by bit like the big companies are like taking over like many of these small companies, like they're over like consuming them.
Absolutely.
Like small business, family business are like dying.
Yes.
Like I mean, this is happening around the world, especially now in COVID. Like in COVID, it happened exponentially. Like somehow like big companies have boomed, while the small business have all
they got swallowed basically. Yeah, it's true. That's exactly what happened in this industry too. As you said, there's less and less companies with bigger companies. And, I don't know. I'm not an economist there, but I don't think that's a very good model overall. It's good for some, but not good for most. Yeah, the gap is widening. You can say for sure.
Yeah, the gap is very widening. It's very much widening. Like if you notice nowadays, like even the salary rate for people is the same. Like, well, inflation is going up.
That's right.
Which means rich are getting richer, poor are getting poorer. Sorry.
Yeah.
So it's a very tough time, Sarah, for let's say the mid and low level of the society. Now, education and tutoring. Why education and tutoring? Why do you love it?
More than anything, I feel like it's a very there's a lot lacking in the way that it's set up now. Okay. And I see it when I talk to students who, even before, I'm blessed, I understand math really quickly and physics and stuff, but it's not just that. I really love to learn, and I feel I became a really good learner. We're just talking about books and stuff, and even when I read a book, I go and I take notes, I quiz myself, I really absorb it and I use it. Well, I feel people they don't do that. They don't understand. They just want to try to memorize, or they just want to try to apply it blindly, and it doesn't work. Well, I've seen it ever since I was a kid. And I don't like this feeling for anybody. I don't like people having this feeling of being stressed or not understanding or feeling lost. So I like to share. I like to explain it in my own way, or I like to at least show them the benefits, to open up the mind a little bit. Oh, this has been since I was younger. I really like to do it, but look, I did it as volunteer.
Yeah.
Okay. Because for me, it is like a passion. But more so, it was also a nice part-time job. You know what I mean? And I was like 15 years old. I'm getting paid $20 per hour. So it's very nice for me for doing
the extra income, like on the side.
On the side, exactly. So now it's the same, but it's like on steroids. Now it grew big time. Now I understand more what some of the problems are, what some of the benefits are, and people are really responding. And I think it's fantastic. It makes me more motivated to continue in it, to contribute to it. I really think it's like a very noble profession, being a teacher or being a tutor, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
You mentioned that we are lacking now. What are we lacking in the education system, in a sense?
The education system, I don't want to be this guy who's like, oh, education is very bad.
Fingers,
Not at all. There's so much good, obviously, especially teachers. There's no some teachers are maybe not fantastic, but overall teachers are overwhelmed and burdened, and they're it's a very rigid curriculum they have to follow and stuff. But overall, the system is so outdated. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. You probably couldn't name anything that hasn't changed less than the school system. We're still sitting in the same rows of desks. You still have to raise your hand if you want to go pee. You still get told what to learn for 8 hours, 6 hours a day for 20 years or something. It's insane. It's insane. Okay. For one thing, I think they should incorporate much more life skills, soft skills, how to stay motivated, how to, deal with stress. How about personal finance? These kind of things are completely, how to learn. How about how to learn? It's completely missing. They teach you what to learn. They don't teach you how to learn. They don't teach you any memory tricks. They don't teach you how to take proper notes. They don't teach you how to schedule your time. How are you teaching for years and years on end? They don't teach them how to read past, grade 3. Maybe they stop learning how to read. They assume you know how to read. But there's ways you can improve even reading, right? There's a lot of things that they don't show anymore because they have this curriculum. It has so much momentum. It's been the same for like 100 years. No one's trying to change, or I don't want to say nobody's trying to change it, but good luck changing something with that much momentum. It's hard.
Is it only a problem of curriculum, or is it like a problem of also teaching methods? Can we point the finger on the curriculum itself or the teaching methods which are not developing?
I believe it's a bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason teaching methods are not developing is because this rigid curriculum. This rigid curriculum is so strict. Just to give you an example, let's say a British system is probably the most prevalent system here in the UAE. They have mark schemes, which is the answers, let's say. And you have full access to these answers while you're studying, so you know how to answer the test. That's a good benefit. But what's the disadvantage? I have a student who's talking about stars or something like that on her test. And she put on her test that the star shines bright. And they gave it wrong. They said, you can't say it shines. You have to say it's luminous. So it's a minor difference. Luminous means you make your own light. Okay. She lost the point. Another student said an echo is when the sound bounces off the wall and comes back and you hear it again. And they said, no, you can't say it bounces off the wall. You have to say it reflects off the wall. So now what do these students do? These students will say, well, hey, I'll just memorize this goddamn mark scheme. What do I care? Bounce. Or why should I try to understand?
Why should I try to innovate or like find the right word?
To paraphrase it in my own way or whatever. They say, no, it's not worth it. I'll just memorize the definition. They don't give you examples that you can find in your home. They just tell you about stuff so that you memorize definitions and memorize. It doesn't work. It doesn't work well. This kind of thing doesn't last. Okay. For what I'm saying, in the teaching method, yes, some stuff is lacking. But if the curriculum tells you, grade them this way, teach them this, and if they say bounce instead of reflect, remove a mark. You know, what are you doing to these kids? What's the message you're sending? Don't try to understand. Memorize, pass the test. This is called it's like the correct answer compromise. Okay? I'll teach you the answers. Here's the paper. Answer it. If you answer it the way we talked about, you get the A, buddy. You're good, I'm good. Now I can go and tell all the parents, we have high scores here. Enroll your kids to my school. Give me the money. You get it? Our graduation rates are so-and-so. Come put your kid here. You know, you're selling yourself. You're selling yourself from these grades. So everybody's just attached to these grades. For the teaching method suffers. And then the teaching method, I have the luxury when I'm teaching in private. I can bend the rules. You don't understand method A, let me show you method B. Well, by the way, method B is usually related to method A. And we can tie them together and you can get a full holistic understanding. It's beautiful. I have this freedom. Teachers don't have that freedom. You have to teach method A. Solve it using method A. But I like method B. No, doesn't count. So teachers get tied up with that. Students get tied up with it. Why? Because the correct answer compromise. When I give you the test, you got to do method A. Then you get your A+. And then I can tell everybody my school gets A+. Then they'll give me the money. You know what I mean?
How do you think does that reflect on the kids? Like the fact that they don't have the capacity to think. How does it develop them? Like into adulthood?
Exactly this is the problem. Okay. When they get into adulthood, what happens? 9 to 5. You go to school 9 to 5. I tell you what to learn. Correct answer compromise. Go to work. What happens? Same thing. I'll tell you what to do 9 to 5. You want to go pee? Raise your hand. What's the difference? You get into this thing where you can't learn or unlearn and relearn. You just tell me what to do and I'll do it. It kills initiative for one thing. It kills risk taking. It kills curiosity. You're just going to make a bunch of robots. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Like it's a very, like when you think about it, like, as you said, holistically, like on the grand scheme, you're, in a sense, developing followers somehow.
Exactly. Not independent thinkers. One very, very simple thing, I would say, in my opinion, is just to allow students 1 hour per day, man. 1 hour per day to study what they want. Just study what you want. What do you want to study today? Oh, you want to learn about sharks? Okay. Here's a really good website. I'll show you some resources. Here's a cool website on sharks. We have a connection with Abu Dhabi Aquarium. I'll get you a Zoom call with the shark expert. We will all go to the museum and look about, bones about sharks. Stuff like this. Once a day. You know how many times students tell me, I don't want to learn this. I never asked to learn this. Why do I need to learn this for?
Yeah.
This ever famous, never ending question.
It doesn't fit me.
Yeah. I mean, at least you can balance a little bit and you can tell them, okay, at the end of the day, I'm going to give you this hour. You tell me what you want to learn. And the problem is if you do it all day, no one's going to want to learn about difficult subjects like math or science or something like that. So I understand there has to be a balance. You have to kind of force quote unquote force them some of the content.
Yes,
you have to force them to get exposed to some of the stuff that they would never have done on their own.
Yeah.
We were just talking about me and you, Masalan. I don't like biology, okay? I read biology books from time to time, or I don't really like history. I force myself to read that. No, I want to get exposed. I want to get a different look. Students also, you need to force them to get a different look. They won't do it on their own at that age, most of them. So I understand this part, but balance it out a little bit. In this 1 hour, you can show them how to find resources, how to learn about something they want to learn. And I always tell even my kids or my students, I tell them, school is great, but school is not going to teach you everything you need to know, let alone what you want to know. So get good at learning. Get good at learning on your own.
What do you think is the role of schools then? Like now, let's talk about what's the role of school now in developing kids, and how, let's say, do you see a good side of it?
Yeah.
Like how can you develop it, for example, as Khaled? So what's the role of school now in our society?
I think more than anything, school is very important in instilling this learning. I don't want to say learning style, but let's say it's what's the word I'm looking for?
Let's say
let's say instilling this discipline, okay, towards learning. When you're going to school, there's a lot of benefits to it. For example, you get to listen to an expert. You get to challenge this expert. You get to learn how to ask questions. You get to learn how to meet deadlines. So I'm not a big fan of tests, but you get to learn to work under pressure as well. You get to learn how to prepare. There's a lot going on there. It's fine. Well, come on, I want to say something about why do I need to learn this for? Facts are very important for learning. It's not just how to be a great independent thinker. We still need a lot of facts. And for example, let's say multiplication, okay? And we all have working memory. Working memory is the memory you're using while you're doing things like RAM for a computer, I guess they call it, okay? Some of us have very good working memory. It can hold a lot. It can juggle like 3-4 balls. Some people not so much. How do you hack this deficiency? Is by learning facts, like multiplication facts. If I'm working on a complicated problem, I don't have to stop this complicated problem to multiply 2 times 4. 2 times 4 should be automatic. This automaticity will come from learning facts. It has nothing to do with becoming a great learner and all that stuff. These kind of things you will learn at school. You learn context. If you never learned about World War II, when something happens now in the world, you can tell immediately like, oh, there's a war. There's a potential of some danger.
This and this to happen.
Because you have some context. Well, this context came from facts that you learn at school. So it's not to say you only need to learn how to learn and how to be. You still need these facts that give you context, that give you automaticity in order to think of the bigger problems. At school, you learn this kind of discipline, I think. These kind of things.
Currently. Is it the best way? Like, should we keep this, let's say, role of schools in our society now, or can we enhance on it? How can we enhance?
I think definitely enhance for sure. 2 immediate things that would jump out to me. Number 1, or 3 things if I may. Number 1, include more interactive with the student. Let the student take part of their learning. It's too much. It's too much to treat them like these empty vessels that you have to fill for 15 years. Can I learn about something I want to learn about? No. Basically, no. I'm going to tell you what you're going to learn for 15 years. It's crazy.
And you should like it, and you should pass it, and you should study.
You have to be good at it. They don't want to learn it, but you have to learn it. It's going to be hard, man. At least balance that out. At least let them be involved a little bit in their learning, in some capacity. Second of all, tests, okay? It's too much, man. It's too much. I'm not a big fan of tests, obviously, but I don't mind. Tests are okay. You need to think under pressure and memorize and study and prepare. Fine. But this sitting in a silent room for 2 hours and use a number 2 pencil and don't look at your neighbor. What is the stressful? What does that prove? What if you have a crappy day and you just do bad on your test? Tayyal SATs, they study for it for a year. They're preparing, One bad day and that's it. You lost this months and months, a year. It's too much. You go to a final that's worth 70% of your grade. What does that prove? It proves you're smart. It proves nothing. It proves that you're good at tests or not good at tests. By the way, test taking, like everything else, is a skill. You can improve it. There's things you can do to improve the way you take a test. There's time management, stress management, memory dumps. There's all kinds of things you can do during a test to improve. Why put so much importance on this one test. Day, on 2 days?
Yes.
Too much. People prepare for 3 years for this GCSE or A-levels and IB or diploma for years to get. It's like the Olympics, man. It's too much for a teenager. Do you know what I mean? They start to think a lot, oh, I didn't do good on the test. I'm bad at math. Not really.
Do they have a role, tests? Like, do you think they have a role in developing the kids?
Absolutely. Like I'm saying, thinking under pressure, fine. Preparing beforehand, studying heavily for something, no problem. But 50-70% of your grade in like 2 hours, no, too much.
Do you think it's a good tool? Or first, do you think we have to differentiate between the kids in a school, for example, or in a class or whatever, via exams? Like, is it a good thing to differentiate and show the different levels of kids?
No. Like I said, you have a bad day. What does it mean? What does it mean? You're bad at tests. So what? I have so many students, they get, they get 90s, A's on their assignments and quizzes. But they get too nervous in a test. They blank out. They flunk out. What does that mean? They're not smart. Not at all. Not at all. It means they're not good at taking a test. Or it means they can't handle pressure. Does this have anything to do with their ability of doing math, doing physics? Not really.
Yes.
Not really.
I see your point.
You know what I mean? At work, are they going to be silently there in a room with, don't look at your notes? And that's not how life is. What does that prove, you know? Especially math. Math is not meant to be, you know, do it all mentally and do it fast. Math, you sit, you calculate, you figure out, right? You use your logic. I don't think a test is as important as we've made it seem. The thing is, this correct answer compromise comes back. I keep saying it, but it really is this. It's like, this like is a paper that will prove that I've done my job and you've done your job. Let's shake hands and show everybody that
and pay me the salary, give us the money, and
let's grow and keep doing the same thing. And the third enhancement, which is the most important one for me, is a workshop that I'm developing. It's the math mindset motivation workshop. I call it M3.
Let's talk about it.
Motivation and mindset is completely absent in the classroom. They don't focus on it. Well, again, it's mostly the curriculum. The teacher, if they can, some good teachers, they will incorporate it in the way that they're teaching. But they have so much already, man. They have so much of a load, teachers, and they keep getting more and more responsibilities that they just don't have time. They don't have time to incorporate this. They have a lesson plan they follow, and that's pretty much it. They have 30 students, 25 students, and I'm working one-on-one, small groups of 5 or 6.
You can control, you can motivate.
It's a luxury. It's a luxury I appreciate.
What's the role of motivation, let's say, as mentioned, like in learning? What differences have you noticed between implementing it with students and where other students are not being implemented on them?
Right.
So what's the difference? Like, have you seen any difference?
Remarkable difference. Yes. Remarkable difference. When somebody wants to learn something, it's unstoppable. They will start learning on their own. They're going to ask you questions, specific questions to things they want to learn. Otherwise, they are just sitting there already with a closed mind, already saying, I'm not a math person. I'm not a math person. That's it. I'm not a math person.
I'm done. I'm not going to think.
You can teach me. I'll do my,
it's not my thing.
I'll pass. It's not for me, you know. I tell everybody, math is not everything, but math is everywhere. You should get good at math, man. You want to paint pictures, you want to sell some books or whatever, you need math. You need some math, okay? You don't have to make math your life and you're a math person to be good at math. This is one myth I immediately remove from my students. Don't tell me I hate math. You don't have to love math, but when we're working together, be neutral. Be neutral. Be open, okay? This motivation to learn goes so far with a student. A student who doesn't want to learn is not going to catch. They are not present in the lesson. They're trying to get through it. They're not trying to live through it. They're just trying to get through it. It never sticks. It never sticks.
Like, you know, now when you mentioned like neutralizing the math to the student, in a sense, like for me, I'm thinking about it myself. I'm putting myself in their shoe. If I don't think of it as this really big deal, I'll be like, okay, it's going to lower the pressure of me learning it.
Absolutely. The stress decreases. Same thing with the test. I tell them, forget your test for a minute. I have a two-pronged approach myself. I focus on understanding first, on understanding. Then we talk about how to answer the test. Reflect to bounce or luminous.
Yes.
That's the easy part. I'll teach you which words to use. But do you understand? Once you understand,
Understand
the other part is easy. Yeah, the concept. Understand the concept. That will be easy. But when you motivate them to focus on the understanding, different world.
What's the role now of parents in this society, in this world, in this education system? How do parents should, let's say, guide the kids through this? What's the role of parents and teachers as, let's say, a team to develop a kid?
That's
in a sense?
That's exactly the right question, man. That's the right question. This is what I like to instill on them. Well, this is what I do on my social media, by the way. That's why now I have around 25,000 followers now, because it resonates with parents, with students, and with teachers. Because the mindset and motivation, this is what you should tell the students. Things like math is not everything, especially in these Middle East.
Yeah.
Oh, you're good at music, you're good at art, English, history, math, science, مهندس دكتور. You know what I mean? You can be an amazing whatever. They don't care that much. But I tell them to ignore this. I don't want to disrespect any parents, but I tell students to put that on the side. Don't worry about that. This is like a cultural thing. You can be amazing at whatever you want to be amazing. Just be okay with math, but don't think I'm not smart because of that. Shakespeare sucked at math. We call him a genius. Yeah. I don't know if he sucks at math, but you know what I mean. Yeah, Mozart is a genius. Sigmund Freud. There's no math involved. They're geniuses. But your kid better be good at math. You better be good at science. You have to remove this. So making mistakes is another one. When students make mistakes, what do we say? We say, no, that's not good. Go do it again. Go try again. You have to allow this space. There's a lot you can learn from mistakes. And my kids, especially, they're 7 and 5. I always tell them mistakes are okay. You can learn from your mistake, and that's a good thing, right? Learn from your mistakes, help you learn. You don't want to repeat the same mistake, right? One of the best things, Aslan, to learn how to do something is to also learn what not to do.
Yeah.
Right? As soon as I teach somebody something,
it resonates more with you.
It does. You can understand. It's a contrast. It helps. It's an added layer of understanding. Plus, mistakes help you be resilient. If you never make mistakes, then what are you going to do when you face a challenge? They have to make mistakes to come back and correct them. It's very, very good. If you have this mentality of, oh, don't make a mistake. One of these reels I did that went viral, 1.6 or 1.7 million views, is about making mistakes. I have students who I say, oh, you forgot to carry the 2. And they say, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't eat today and I've been up all night. I'm so tired. And I say, don't apologize, man. Erase it. Put back the 2. It's fine. No problem.
Nothing have happened.
Yeah, but these people have, when they were a kid, they were probably told, no, you've made this mistake. This is a bad thing. They're scared to ask questions in class. You're 99.9 sure of the answer, but I'm not going to raise my hand because I'm afraid of getting it wrong. So this fear of making mistakes, we have to work on that as parents and as teachers. Okay. What else? Again, being good learners. How to be good learners. I emphasize this, that school is not enough. Not enough to teach you what you want to know, what you need to know, let alone what you want to know. Go on YouTube, man. How many times I've been with students and I tell them on purpose, I show them that I don't know. What do you think? Sometimes it's true, I get stumped, rarely.
Yeah.
And I go, let me show you what I'm going to do. And I go on Google and I go on YouTube and I figure it out within 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
So I tell them, by the way, you could have done this.
Yes.
Why are you paying me so and so an hour?
It's allowed for you to do this.
You should encourage this, and you should not rely on me. Don't rely on your teacher. This is the information age, man. You can look this up on your watch. At this point, you know what I mean? You can watch on your phone. You can learn whatever you want to learn. This is something you have to encourage to let them know it's okay not to know. It's not like, I don't know. And this is this epidemic that happens now. Students, they read this problem, this long problem. It's about this big paragraph. They give themselves about 3 seconds, maybe 5, and then they tell me, I don't know. I'm done. It doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. They think either you know it or you don't. So I try to explain to them. I explain to my kids as well. And this is why all our teachers, they have to do this. It's not this fixed mindset, whether I know it, then I don't, and that's my limit. No, you can figure it out. Okay? Mish, I don't know. I don't know yet. Give yourself a bit of time. Think about it. How are you going to do? Sometimes you just have to get going. When they're solving, I tell them, just get going. And once they start, kind of spark something, they find a path, they find a way. Okay. And those are the best, those are the most satisfying solves. Is where you didn't know at first, and then you grind it out and you kind of see a path and it works.
You know what?
It's very satisfying.
Speaking of which, they say that the most satisfying feeling is learning something which is very difficult for you.
Absolutely.
And that,
confidence builder,
yes,
with self-esteem is through the roof. This is why it's very good for kids at a young age. I have this other workshop called the ABCs of Learning. I was invited to Early Childhood Authority. They had a development fair. I was lucky enough to be invited, and spoke with so many wonderful parents, wonderful people from ECA. And I was promoting this workshop, the ABCs of Learning, which get them young, get them excited to learn while they're young. And one of them is this point exactly. Why be a good learner? Self-esteem is a huge one. Self-esteem is a huge one. When you learn something new, it's unbelievable. What I do with my kids is we have a learning list. Anything they want to learn or anything they ask me about, I put it on a list. It's a simple list on my phone. The questions they ask, why is the sky blue? Well, why is the grass green? How do fish breathe underwater? What is fog made out of? These kind of questions. Why do we have bones? Okay, really cool, interesting questions. Sometimes I know the answer, but like I told you, a lot of times I'll say, I don't know. What do you think? And you know what they tell me now? They say, Baba, put it on the list. Put it on the list. This is unbelievable. You know what this does? This means they have decided, I don't know this,
but I want to learn it.
I'm gonna learn it, come on. I want to learn it, and I'm going to learn it. And we do, and we watch a video on it, 5 minutes, whatever. Talk about it. Look up some book. Look up a YouTube or Google article. Ask Siri. Anything. I show them there's so many ways to learn. And this is such a big thing for their self-esteem when we reread the list. And I say, look what we learned about. Bones.
Take that off the list. Check it out.
See that. I've learned so much. I didn't know this. Now I know this. It's an unbelievable feeling for them. It's a very, very big confidence booster.
It's a very rewarding feeling, actually. Like they achieved some mini goals after goals, one achievement after the other.
After a while, it piles up.
Their self-esteem, as you mentioned.
Definitely. That's why it's really, really nice. It's such a simple way. Especially these days, you have online games, YouTube videos, Ask Siri, get these little encyclopedia, kids encyclopedia or whatever you want to call them. It's very good, man.
Man, like in a sense now, I'm trying to think about it. It's not only the role of parents and teachers, like the society is also involved in this. Like in a sense, because we live in a society where they glorify perfection. Like it's in a sense, there's no place for people to make mistake because you're going to be pointed out as a black swan, in a sense. So even the society plays a role in developing the whole next generation, in a sense.
Yeah. This perfectionism, this don't make a mistake. Yeah. We need to remove these. Like perfect is becoming my least favorite word,
Man, because it puts a lot of pressure on people. Like even myself, like you get to a point where if something is not perfect, you start stressing about it. And you're like, I just want to give up because I'm not going to reach that perfectionism. However, if you minimize let's say the goals, the overall scheme,
standard expectations or whatever. Yeah, absolutely. They say don't let perfect be the enemy of good.
Yes.
Just get it done. Good enough. Sometimes you do it and you move on. A lot of people feel this. What do you call this? Paralysis by analysis. You work out, right? So it's I'll start hitting the gym, but first I need the perfect program. I need the perfect schedule. Buddy, hit the gym. Go hit the gym. Make a basic program, hit the gym, adjust on the way, just get going. These people who overthink it till it's perfect.
Man, speaking of which, just yesterday, I was listening to a speak with Jordan Peterson. He was talking about if you have a goal, if you have, let's say, something which you want to achieve, even though you don't have, let's say, the perfect plan now, start it and start tweaking. See how does the journey take you? See where does the journey guide you and start tweaking. And you maybe later on you change the plan.
You adjust.
You adjust. Yeah, you start reacting to the environment. You start reacting because you yourself might change.
That's true.
Your goals might change along the way, but start with something.
Exactly. Get going. Sometimes get going. This paralysis by analysis is very dangerous. Everything. That's like me in my career. I'm just freestyling, man. Just freestyling. I was doing construction. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I started tutoring. Now I teach at this institute. I'm doing workshops. I had a meeting last year with ADIC, Abu Dhabi Education Council, about my content. Because they want some content for parents. This kind of advice that I like to give about, these myths and this pressure on kids and these kind of things. So I have a YouTube channel. I got these pre-recorded videos, and now I have a online store.
Yeah.
I've hired some tutors. So I'm just going along, man. I'm in a podcast or whatever.
Like spreading the word. Yeah, like I mean,
This experience is what, you know, I'm absorbing. I'm seeing where it takes me. You never know which one leads to where, and I'm just going with the flow, you know.
Like this is how I think you start changing a society, start changing, let's say, old standards, old preset standards in a sense. Sorry. Now, I'm thinking about like before the exams had a role, which is to, let's say, grade and categorize kids. Do you think that's needed now from your teaching methods? For example, how do you, let's say, measure if a child is improving or not? How do you measure it?
Yeah, you can use tests for that. Yeah, I don't mind.
We use
for
them.
Sure. Quiz, assignments, whatever. There has to be some kind of testing involved, whether it's an assignment or a quiz. I guess my beef is more with these heavy, you know, study for 2 years for a 4-hour, 70% of your grade kind of test. No, that's too much for me. But to test, I think is completely fine for the students themselves to improve as well. Right? How do I know where his weakness is? He has to try on his own. Sometimes I teach a student, let's say, in the lesson, we're flying, we're connecting, everything's fine. They get it, they're solving on their own. And then I tell them at the end, I tell them, don't take this wrong way. When you try this later, it's not going to go smooth. And I tell them it's going to be totally normal. You're going to get stuck. Just tell me when you get stuck, where you're getting stuck. We'll bridge that gap. That's it. But they need to struggle on their own. They need to take these tests on their own and see where the gaps are. How else would we know what to fill? So it's completely normal, and it is necessary, as you're saying, to. I don't know if it's necessary to rank them. We do want to rank. Say you're hiring. You want somebody who's high, you know, very high capability. Is there anything wrong with that? I don't think so. I don't think so. But is the test the 70%? Is the right method to categorize everybody? I don't think so. I think if somebody is bad at taking tests, if the job involves taking tests,
then let's put it as
good, you know. But how many are? How many are under this pressure? 2 hours of don't look at your nose, don't look at your neighbor, look straight ahead. You know, don't talk to anybody. If that job needs this, then perfect. Go for the big high pressure test. But I don't think it's very relevant, in my opinion. I might be wrong, but from what I've seen, so many bright people, they have this pressure, this, you know, and it's like a spiral. Unfortunately, it's like a vicious cycle where they start putting in their head, well, I'm bad at tests. Again, it's this fixed mindset. I'm just bad at tests. Finish. Not I can improve. Not I'm bad at tests now, but you know, the right test will come or I'm going to do fine. No, I'm bad at tests. As soon as they get in the test, you know, I'll save you the suspense. They don't do well, right?
Like, man, speaking of the teaching method, the other day I was like when I decided to interview, like I did some research on the education system as well. Like I took a look on the Scandinavian countries in Sweden and Denmark and such. Like their teaching method is also like exponentially different than here. Like they barely go to classes. Like most of their education is
outdoors and stuff. I've seen some of that. Yes, amazing.
Man, it's incredible. I think and their students are like the one of the highest, like if not the highest ranking students in the world.
Yeah.
Like which reflects, like you learn by experience.
You learn also
without exams.
The community getting involved.
I don't think they even have exams over there.
There you go. So exams is not that. It's more for the school than the student, really.
Yeah.
I don't think it's. I hope it won't be too much longer before we at least reduce the stakes of these exams. Keep them fine, but reduce the stakes a little bit.
Like I think it's a way for schools to differentiate themselves rather than to differentiate the kids.
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's this thing where here's the paper.
Yes.
Remember what we talked about? Remember when I told you, put those answers on that paper. Yeah. We'll both look good. You'll get an A. I'll look good. I'll get my recruits, you know, new students, new whatever. I'll get funding and
the business keeps rolling.
Business keeps rolling. It is a business.
Yes, it is a business.
But you know, we have to pay attention. These are kids. This is no joke, man. You're playing with teenagers, especially, and I work mostly with teenagers, by the way. Most of my students are in the teenage. I have a few younger, but generally I prefer dealing with teenagers. And people tell me, you like working with teenagers? That's crazy, right? They're sour and sensitive and aggressive and whatever. But I get along with them, man. That's why I'm doing well in my job. This is my differentiator. I make connection. I really do. when I see them stressed, I feel the stress.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I do. And I try to relieve them with these things that we talk about telling them, okay, math, let's be neutral about it. Forget about it. Okay. When it's me and you, let's just work on the math. Let's try to figure it out. You tell me what's the problem or not. I don't tell them, you know, oh, you should do good on the test. If you don't do good on the test, I tell them, forget about the test as well. Let's work here. I know you're smart, even if you didn't do well on the test. I tell them, you should be in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
You did bad on the test, so what? You're still a good student. You're still good at math. This kind of thing, the stress melts off their shoulders.
Yes, it relieves them like from the stress.
When they're open, they are so receptive. Well, I'm very good. I'm not going to lie to toot my own horn there, but I'm very, very good at teaching, actually teaching. I feel I can understand where the gaps are very quickly, and I can present different ways. And I'm very careful with my language as well. By the way, this is something else I like to teach parents and teachers.
Like choosing the right word in the right situation.
For example, I never say no. No. What's this? 17? No. You don't know when you tell a teenager no, you might as well wag your finger at them like a little child. See how defensive they get. I never even say why. I never say why. I say how come.
You don't challenge them in a sense.
I don't say why. Why is a little bit accusatory. You know, you ask somebody why. Well, they want to explain themselves, right? How come is more like, okay, let me explain what I understand.
Maybe let me know.
Yeah. Different thing. I never say easy. Oh, you should do it. This is very easy. Easy means if I don't understand it, I'm dumb. I say it's simple. This is simple. Simple حلوة. Why? Simple now they think, well, I don't want to overcomplicate it.
Yeah.
It's simple. It's not. Don't overthink it. Okay?
Yes.
These small things make a difference. They do. Because again, it's this connection. When you have somebody who's defensive, they're not going to be open to learning. When I have them comfortable, open, receptive, and I combine that with my technical skills, so like this psychological, emotional kind of thing, with my technical skills, it's working wonderfully, man. Working wonderfully. They're really responding. And the sweetest thing, in the end, I work with kids, teenagers, but they're young, they're kids, and they come to me and they message me and they share their grades with me. They can't wait to share the success because we're working together. This connection, this is what I wish I can impart to other teachers, other parents. Once you have this kind of connection, this motivated student with the right mindset, it's a joy. It's a pleasure, man. It's a pleasure for them. It's a pleasure for me. And it honestly helps with their relationship with their parents. Parents, there's a lot of stress that goes away when your students
they sometimes put a lot of stress on them in a sense as well.
For sure. Parents are trying to do their best. They know the world. The world is get good grades so you can get into a good college, so you can get a good job.
In a sense, get paid more and like have a good life. And
that's right. But unfortunately, unintentionally, they create this negative connotation around studying and school and this undue pressure, which is kind of the opposite. I remove this kind of pressure, create this connection, and they feel it. They feel that I actually care. When they're stressed, I tell them, I'm sorry you're feeling like that. I remember being stressed like that. It sucks. I know this feeling of being lost, not understanding.
Yeah.
It's very stressful. They come to class, they try for 5 minutes, they get lost, and they check out. They check out. They dissociate mentally. They just check out completely. They sit there for like 50 minutes. They zone out. Yeah. It's not a comfortable feeling. People think, this guy's lazy. Well, is he? Or maybe he's just so lost and he gave up. I have to bring them back. Teachers can't do that to 25, 30, but I can. I can when I have 1 or 2 or 5 or whatever. Yeah. I can. So I'm blessed. I'm telling you, I'm very lucky. I understand it's a luxury. That's why I don't point my finger at teachers.
Do you think in the grand scheme of education, is it possible, for example, to apply these methods on a large scale, on a large group of class? Or should we, let's say, change the education system in a sense where we hire more teachers to, let's say, have more classes with less number of students?
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. Yeah. Like how I am with the smaller classes, right? I don't think that's possible, unfortunately, because we have so many young minds to mold. Right? But I definitely think there should be a bit of a revamp in schools where I believe teachers have this knowledge that I have as well, but they just can't apply it currently and they don't have time and they haven't thought about it probably in quite a while. They've been a little
also
bit programmed
into the system,
and
like they have been immersed
exactly
in the system.
they're in the system for, you know, they have a program that they're following for so many years. Refresh this. And I would love to create some usable assets, some actual applicable stuff, right? Like oh, you know, you seem like you're very lost, you don't feel like working today. Let's look at our checklist. Let's check our mindset checklist, and let's go through these, and let's see what we can do to relieve you. Let me remind you, tests don't define you. Math is not everything. Let's go through this. Maybe 10 minutes a day or something small like that might make a difference. If not to everybody, to some of the students. You know what I mean?
Yes.
We also definitely, like I keep saying, the test thing, cool it, man. Cool it with the tests, the big tests, I think. In my opinion, this would help a lot. Introduce some kind of self interest, or not self interest. How can I explain? Some self-chosen topics that they want to learn about, and teach them how to learn about. Get the community involved. The community is wide, and we're all connected now. All it takes is a Zoom call. You can have a Zoom call with an expert into your classroom any day of the week. You know what I mean? Get the community. You know how many experts we have on anything, on exercise, fitness, on health, on you know, I'm saying for young kids, like animals or whatever. Get the community involved. Take them out. More field trips. Yes, it's a little difficult, but I don't think it's incredibly difficult to take a class on a field trip every, you know. My kids have like 2 field trips per year, maybe, right? Why can't it be once a month? Small things like this, man. I think it would change a lot. It would go a long way. And parents have to be involved too. For students themselves, again, how to study. How to study, how to learn. This is the most valuable skill. You know, later they say the only skill that's going to matter is how to learn a new skill.
Yeah.
Information now is everywhere. That's not the problem.
We are overwhelmed
with information. Information, before it's like, oh, he's very knowledgeable. He knows a lot of things. That's very knowledgeable. No, not anymore. Now the game is, can you learn quickly?
Can you filter?
Can you filter information? Can you use the correct information? Learn. How many new things come up? Look at this surge in AI now, right? Technology moves fast. You need to move fast, or you're going to get left behind. You need to be a good learner. I always tell people who tell me like, oh, AI, that's dangerous. That's not good. I don't think so at all, man. I'm all for AI. I'm down. They used to say this when tractors were invented. You know that they used to they'd say, oh, well, the farming is doomed, right? Tractors
this is how we got the boom in agriculture.
Exactly. People started thinking how to improve the agriculture, and the ones who were smart learned to use the tractor to their advantage and freed themselves to improve other aspects.
Yes.
My students, I tell them, use AI. Don't hand me in an AI ChatGPT essay. Not that. But if you need ideas, use it. If you need help doing presentations or stuff that helps you make slides, even PowerPoint and Excel, by the way, they have a lot of designing tools in there that help you. AI is fine, man. I don't mind AI. Why don't they teach that in school? At school, they have a stance like, AI is no good. Incorporate it in class. I teach communication skills at this institute as well. Part of it is about learning Microsoft Excel and Microsoft PowerPoint and all these things. And I've shown them some AI sites, AI things that do, and I encourage them to get good at using AI. Everybody's going to use it sooner or later. Don't get left behind.
What do you think, like, we have this split in the community of people who are pro AI and people who are against AI? What's the fear that some people are facing from AI?
I think mainly 2 things. First, obviously, it's going to take some jobs. It is. But again, I don't think the people who are afraid of losing a job to AI are people who have this fixed mindset, who think, this is my role. If somebody takes this role, I'm not sure what to do. I'm not sure who I am. Growth mindset will tell you, okay, you got me a tractor. Let me improve the other aspects.
Let me see, how can I use AI to my advantage?
How can I use it? Or how can I learn something new? I can learn something new. I will learn something new. So some people are going to be afraid and they might get cut out. Learn to use it to your advantage, or learn a new skill now. If you're good at learning, you can manage something else. Second thing is, people will get lazy. And this is true, right? I mean, think of, I'm guessing you're around, we're the same age, let's say.
Yeah, I'm 30.
30, okay, all right. Yeah, 30. Yeah, so back in school, library, Dewey Decimal System, you check a card, you go physically look for the book, you go make a photocopy, and you take notes on this, okay? Now it's like, hey, Google.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And they don't work that hard for it, so it doesn't stick that much. So I think a bit of the fear is we're going to get a little bit complacent. We're not going to be able to do the hard work when the time comes, if the time comes. So I think a balance is okay. Don't abuse AI. Just learn to use it to your advantage.
What do you think? What do you think? Like, we are like more and more like in this generation, we are, let's say, moving into the laziness road. Like when you look at it in the back, like sorry, in the past generations, in the 90s and such, people were more active in a sense. Like, but now, I think with the better the technology, the lazier we are getting.
I was going to say, I think, technology has made us a little too comfortable, I think.
Yeah.
But we're going to keep going that route. We're not going to stop. As long as there's something that can be done easier and faster, we go for it. We jump on it, right? That's why exercise is something, in my opinion, essential.
Yes.
Not just for your well-being, but also in terms of your discipline and in terms of challenge and overcoming, right? Especially in workouts, same with studying.
Yeah.
You need challenge. You don't want something too easy. Too easy is boring.
Yes.
And too difficult is, in a sense, also boring, because if it's too hard,
you're not going to be able to get it.
I'm not going to do it. I'm going to get discouraged. I'm not into it. You need that sweet spot. Working out is something that you cannot, there's something they say, you cannot buy or get a fit body. You have to earn a fit body. And that's it. That's the bottom line. So when you see somebody who's like pretty fit, good for him. He's a hard worker. At least this guy is disciplined, consistent, whatever it is. It says a lot. So I think this is one thing that's going to stick, man. This part of us that you can't get away from the difficulty.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everything else is getting soft, man. I have no idea what else. Even reading is easier now. Yes. Right? They have these shortened versions. We're talking about audiobooks
and Blinks
all these things,
and such. Like there's a website called Blinks, I think, where they do like a summary of the book in like maybe 2 or 3 pages, and that's it.
There you go. I'm telling you, there's like nothing left. Everything, you can find the easy version, you can find the hard one.
Like wherever you look now, there's like this 2 minutes thing, 30 minutes thing, and done. Like they try to promise you and learning something within this short period of time.
Yeah.
And these are the
micro learnings.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying they don't work. I'm just saying everything is they're trying to make it easier and easier. I think we're going to keep going down that route. You have to take it upon yourself. I think you have to take it upon yourself to make sure you stay challenged, right? You have to stay challenged. They say if it doesn't challenge you, it doesn't change you.
Very true.
I think that's very, very true. Well, I try to tell my kids too. I tell them I love hard work. I love hard work because I keep saying that around them and stuff. And I keep telling them I do the hard part first. I do the hard part first. And now my daughter is starting to take to it. I tell her, you want to do this homework or that homework? And she says, no, let's do that one. I don't like it. Let me do it now while I'm hyped. So,
man, like good. The beauty of life is in the hard journey somehow. Like life would be so boring if it was so easy.
Yeah, it wouldn't. You wouldn't have that satisfaction.
Yes, you wouldn't have that sense of
triumph. The achievement. Exactly.
Yeah,
This is what builds self-confidence too. When you say you're gonna do something and you do it, it gets hard and you do it anyway. Wow.
What a sense of achievement.
It is, yeah.
I think this is like what everyone is striving for. Like this is like the goal why everybody like has a reason to wake up in the morning for. Like I want to wake up for this. So you wake up every day to follow the plan because you have a goal to get there. So this is like a thing, like the challenges are like a thing which people are thriving for in a sense.
Yeah. When you have a goal, it's a big motivator too. That's the problem with students too, unfortunately. Not problem with students, but when they go to school and they're demotivated, they often don't have a goal. They're thinking, why do I need to learn about triangles? Triangles. And I tell them, you know what? You're right. You don't need to learn about triangles. But here's the difference, okay? If I tell them, my kid, if they see my 5-year-old solving a puzzle, you know what they'll say? They say, wow, that's really good for her brain.
Yeah.
Then I tell them, do the math, and they say, no, I don't need that. Well, this is your puzzle, man. It's good for your brain. Solve these, okay? And it's good for your brain. You think you're doing triangles, but what you're doing is problem solving, improving your working memory, right? Making a methodology plan, writing things out. There's so many benefits to it. Asking questions, all sorts of stuff. Stop focusing on the goddamn triangle and just try to think about
see the overall picture.
It's hard when you're in class being told what to study 24/7. They have to be reminded this is part of the motivation. Otherwise, they'll be very demotivated. What am I learning it for? I'm learning it to get a good grade. I don't care about grades. They have to get a little bit away from this kind of mentality.
Like, I'm trying to think about it now. Like, imagine if the school, or for example, imagine me as a student. If I think like by the end of the year, there's no exam for me, let's say, to study for, I would be, let's say, more open to the idea of studying itself.
Right.
Because I don't have, let's say, that goal, which I think that I'm only working for it. So I'm going to be there for the journey of studying itself.
And the goal, if they give you that goal, it's a goal you don't like.
Yeah.
On top of it. You know what I mean? It's something like you're dreading. The closer it gets, the more you don't want to take this test, right? It's very, very true. If you remove this, which is the idea, if you remove this pressure of that test, you're more open to understanding now. You're more open to learning something new just for the sake of learning.
Yeah.
Look at these questions I was telling you. My kids ask, well, what's fog? Why do we have bones and stuff? You know what teenagers have to say? Is that going to be on the test? Do I have the formula for that? Is that going to be on the test? This is the kind of thing now. The difference, the curiosity's gone. We've taken away this curiosity. They just want to pass the test. They want to do good on the test.
They are just like doing it for the sake of the test.
Yeah.
Not for the sake of the learning.
For the sake of getting mom and dad off my back, getting this good grade and going to college. And they don't care about what they're learning anymore. Also, they don't understand that learning one thing over here will improve your understanding over here of something completely, what you think is irrelevant is actually connected, and they help you. Especially these learning of facts. People miss this thing about context where if you never learned about war, I guess it was the example, war's on my mind. So if you never learned about war, when the signs come up and you have no context, you won't understand what's going on. But learning about the facts of a different war, not the reasons and all that stuff, really just the facts of what happened, will give you enough context to piece together other things. So you need this background information.
To have it like, let's say, a base context for what comes next.
Exactly. It could be anything. It could be a process. I read this book, I think it was maybe The Unschooled Mind, or I can't remember the example they used about something with laundry. If I was to talk about laundry and I just say, and you don't know I'm talking about laundry, and I just say, you put it in the machine and you run it for one cycle. If that's not enough, then run it for another and then hang it outside. Why do you think I would hang my laundry outside? To dry, right? But if you don't know about laundry, then you would say, why would he hang it outside? It's just these small things that we take for granted, but you need them. You need this background information, I guess.
Yeah, very true, man. It's tough. It's tough. Like, I mean, I think it's a really like tough thing to manage with society, with the government, with the kids, like the pressure they have, and it's a tough. Like too many balls to juggle.
That's true. A lot of moving parts.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts. Yeah,
it is. And the worst part is, who's gonna suffer or benefit is like kids. Kids, and it's like it's a sensitive or something, a group we need to be taking care of a little bit better. I think teach them how to learn this on their own. Teach them how to motivate themselves a little bit. How to not get depressed and demotivated from challenges and mistakes. These are things that are completely absent in today's school.
Very true. Very true.
And they're important, really, really important. These self-sustaining, these emotional intelligence kind of soft skills, people skills. I think that's missing. And I think it
they
would
matter more than what the society are giving them weight for. The soft skills.
Yes.
Like, as you mentioned, like, for example, if you're into English, artists, musicians, whatever, like in this culture, you're out. Nobody cares. You need to be an engineer.
Not as revered, for sure.
Exactly. It's not like it's not a good thing to mention, like in society with friends and such, in a sense.
It's not as like prestigious.
It's not prestigious in a sense.
It's a shame. Unless you get really, really famous. Then
everybody is a celebrity. Like, exactly.
It's weird.
How ironic.
Yeah.
How ironic, man. Like, how ironic.
Yeah. It's
like, how ironic, really, like.
That we don't revere. We revere these like hard skill, like math and science and stuff.
Yeah.
Unless
you get
famous,
good at it.
You're so good, you're famous now, and now matters.
Now you're the example which we give to our kids.
It's weird,
Very tough, man. Like,
it's good, but it's good to have a background. And both my kids, they tell me they want to be singers, for example.
Yeah.
Okay. Or actress or whatever, and I say no problem.
Yeah.
For me, no problem. I'm not going to be the guy who's like, oh, math.
Yeah.
Not at all. Even now, my daughter's starting to tell me she's very good at math, but she's starting to tell me like, I don't like math.
Yeah.
Say no
All
problem,
right,
man. No
okay.
problem. You know, deep down, I'm like, no.
Like, I want to say, but okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me hold my tear.
Yeah, you
Just
know,
hold it.
man, I have to take my own advice.
Yeah.
That's the worst, you know.
Like, it's okay to give it to others,
But for me, my
I
daughter,
don't take
what's
it.
going on? Yeah.
Like, my daughter doesn't like math. How come?
Yeah, scandalous. But,
Beautiful, man.
yeah, it's okay. Well, working on these things. I'm trying. You know, I picture myself. I have big plans for myself. You know,
Yeah.
I picture myself in a stadium talking to thousands of people about this. I would love to. I would love to reach many more people. You know, alhamdulillah, I'm very successful. I mean, by what measure? I mean, I'm completely booked for the past few years. I've had a lot of success with students. That's how I measure my success. Is if they're doing well, if their parents are happy, if they are happy, I'm happy. Yeah. And lately it's been good. I'm overbooked. Like I said, I've hired a few tutors also to take some of the load. So definitely we're growing.
Are you teaching the tutors which you are giving? Like,
not really, not yet. I just started hiring. It's been less than a year. So I'm trying to make this official training program. But in terms of discussions and shit, absolutely. In terms of discussing this kind of stuff, we've discussed it, and
like, because I mean,
we're all on the same page when I interview people and when I agree with them to join. I know their mentality, and I've taught with them or interviewed them, like I said. And if they don't have the same mentality, it doesn't work. Because
I think, exactly. Because the reason for your success is the teaching methodology. So if you, let's say, want to make a group, we want to make a team, they have to be on the same page in a sense.
Absolutely. And we are, but I want to formalize it. So I'm putting together a small training now, which is very similar to this M3, this math mindset motivation workshop, which I'm working on. Removing the myths. Math is everything, and if you're not good at math, you're not good. If you're not good at tests, you're not smart. These kind of things. There's 8 intelligences. Have you heard this? Howard Gardner's intelligences. You could be a kinesthetic, so good with your body, interpersonal, musical, not just mathematical, logical. You can be many kinds of smart, naturalistic. These people. So removing these myths, dispelling these myths, instilling the mindset. Not I can't do it yet. I'm not a math person. Well, math is not my favorite, but I can be good at math. If I don't learn it, I don't know. Well, I can figure it out. These things, right? Motivation. Why do I need to learn this? Well, ABC. Learning this will help you learn that. Knowing the facts will give you context for other things. Knowing the facts will help your working memory. You motivate them. You tell them this is going to be useful for you. Forget about the test. Just learn for you. Learn to be a good learner. All these messages, I want to give it to everybody. But I'm fully booked at the moment, right? So I have to train more people to do it, or I have to try to reach as many people as I can, which I try to do with my social media, and hopefully soon with these workshops now. Perfect. Yeah, that's the plan.
That's very beautiful. Like, I really like what you're doing, and
thank you.
I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
For you, your family, and good luck in the project.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me. Really,
I really do much appreciate your time over here. This has been like really beautiful.
Cool experience.
Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you very much. Thank you.